Come
What's
on.
going on? Come on, everybody, and Monica and me especially. But come on, come on. Woo! It is
Good morning.
Friday. Good morning to you, Monica. I just wanted to say I after reviewing the last episode multiple times, you said I was beautiful once, and I didn't quite acknowledge it because I was basically talking over you, and it made me sad when I realized it later. So thank you. Um, Second, you compared me to, I didn't know who Kelly Ripa's husband was, and I looked him up, and oh my goodness,
Yes.
whew,
I'll post some
whew.
pictures later on the Instagram of why of Ryan Seacrest and Mr. Consuela. And
Yeah,
yeah.
I looked him up, I was like, oh my. Even I got a little breathless there, so
yeah.
Thank you again.
I speak the truth. And I think many of our viewers will support me on that.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So we've got an action-packed episode for you today. We've dug deep into our relational history and wanted to bring you some quality content about navigating the do's and the whole, please God, definitely don't do these things in relationships. I like to think that my relationships, I have a lot of experience on what not to do. So I could provide, it is like you are getting like a shipbuilding lesson from the engineer of the Titanic. Like I've made some mistakes, and now I can advise you to not do that. And I'm from what we've talked about, Monica, I feel like we may have similar experience, similar non-successes.
Well, yes. And me being the athlete that I am, I start to approach a relationship or something that's even close to being defined that, and I run very fast. I PR running away. So, a lot of my experience comes with these dating apps.
Sure.
And so one thing that I've been talking to one of my friends about, and this came up in conversation recently about her experiences, is the swipe, you get satisfied, and then you're silenced. So you both swipe, you connect, but then nobody reaches out to actually say anything.
Yes. I've done that a lot. I have personally not reached out after a connection was made.
Well, and I mean, I think everybody does it, but it's so interesting because you're both there to at least meet somebody,
Right.
and you both swiped. I mean, sometimes you go so quickly that maybe you accidentally swipe, but you connect, and then it's like you've won because you've connected with someone. You don't have to make that next step. But so I feel forced in my such scenarios to be the first one, and I don't use memes. I try to come up with a clever question that I just ask to a number of the men that I connect with, just to see what the different answers are. And I try to make it things where it's like, I can figure out a little bit about their personality. So like one time I read an article about like figuring out people's personalities by the pizza that they choose and the toppings, which is very interesting. I'd highly recommend it. But I toned it down a little bit, and my question was, what's your favorite cheese? I like cheese. We're in a state that loves cheese. And I went on this date with this guy who said provolone. And mind you, I'm also really, really bad at remembering names. So then I just would identify them as their cheeses. So I was going on a date with provolone. And the whole date, I couldn't stop comparing him to the personality that I thought provolone had, which is, boring, cheap, only pairs well with honey ham. And also my spirit meat is not honey ham. So it was never going to work. So, okay, continuing on with the conversation about the the apps, because I think we're in a time right now where all we can do is really use the apps. One of the questions that I had from one of my good friends, we'll call her Tammy from Portland, she was wondering, and is in a situation, I don't think it's actually a question, I think it's actually happening to her, is what do you do in the situation where you're on the apps? You've actually moved to the point where you're communicating, which I don't get that far usually. But then it just stops. Do you do a double text?
It needs a few days for sure. Like you can't just be like 6 hours and then whatever. But
Fair enough.
like if it's been a few days, great. And keep in mind this never worked. But but I was like, hey, you know, you seem really great. Conversation was going really great. I think you're really funny. Or insert adjective here. I have a Mad Lib sheet. But hi, Susan. I like when you wore your red jacket. But yeah. But yeah, basically find some descriptor you enjoy about them and then say, hey, I would really love to. I think then it's the last ditch effort. So say I would really like to meet up, or I'd really like to continue talking, or whatever. Someone knows where you're at and they can see where you're at, then they can make the decision on their own versus like me trying to put out this product that I think they're going to want. Like,
Ooh.
you know what I mean? That was my problem in the past. Like I would legit on Hinge. No, was it Hinge or yeah, on any dating app, I would see a girl that I liked and I'd like swipe and then I'd quickly change my profile to like match some of her interests. I'm like, oh, she likes The Office. I better mention The Office. And so I would like edit real quick. But yeah, I think that A, that's not a sustainable long-term model. But B, like just put whatever you got out there and hope for the best. So Tammy, speak from your heart, or
Trust
wherever.
your gut. Trust your gut. I know she takes probiotics. Trust your gut, Tammy.
There you go, Tammy. Yeah. So, I mean, that was one of my relationship. We were talking about relationship do's and don'ts. That was one of my do's.
Oh.
Is just so like kind of the distinction between honesty and transparency.
Mm-hmm.
Like honesty, I can be as honest as like as possible, and I put forth the genuine product, but I'm putting it forth. Mm-hmm. And like I'm like giving you what like I think you might want, honestly, maybe, I don't know. But like transparency is like you can kind of just see what's going on and then you can make your own decision from there.
God, John, I am learning from you because maybe this is my fault. See, I tend to just leave a lot of holes in my stories. I give surface details. Like I say, I work for a university, but I don't actually give my occupation because I don't want them to know what I do. I mean, I do, but I love what I do. I love what I do and I'm proud of it. But I'm like, you know, then you know a little bit too much about me.
Sure. So, and I mean, there's levels of transparency that I think I've jumped the gun a little bit too much. But like, there's some things that people don't need to know right away. But you know, I always think of it. I used to and slightly still think about like dating as sales, like in a sales environment. You are the product, and you're trying to get someone to buy into the product. Like really, at the end of the day, you should just be guiding, like educating them about the product, and then guide them through the decision-making process, and then let them really buy in. Like don't, you know.
Yeah, but what happens when they buy in? You know, I've accomplished my challenge, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done.
I used to work at AT&T, and there was plenty of people that within the 30-day window would be like, I don't want. But then there's a restocking fee, and then they're like, oh God, I don't really want to pay this $30. I guess I'll just deal with it for 2 years. And then that's basically been my relationship success. It's just people being like, it's a lot of work now I have to get my contacts onto another phone. Oh, yeah. Now it's just a whole thing. And so 2 years later, then they're like, okay.
And so I mean, you know, this kind of plays into the question that one of your friends had about when to know when to cut off an unhealthy relationship. I would say when you're in that point where you're just settling and you're like, oh, it'd be too much of a hassle, it's time to break up.
Oh, for sure.
Cut your losses, let's go.
Well, especially on the front end, like like in the first month to 3 months, like if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Like you should, like at least in that time, you should be like real pumped about what's going on.
True, yeah.
If you're not, then so in terms of continuing in a healthy relationship, from what I've observed of the healthy relationships that I've been around, it's just like they kind of just know what's going on with themselves. They don't have much expectations for anyone to fix what they've got going on. They like understand, hey, I've got to fix my own thing, and like you can partner with me in that. Like, you know, I can tell you what's going on, but like it's not your responsibility at all to like fix this for me, you know? But yeah, it's true. Like I think I used to go into relationships with like a list of things that I wanted. Like she needs to cook because I can't cook, right? Or she needs to, like, I'm extremely social. Maybe she needs to balance me out. So maybe she can be like a little bit more reserved and calculated with her speech, right? On and on and on and on. And then like as there was a point where I looked at the mental list and I was like, how many of those things am I? And the answer was close to none. I was not very calculated or reserved with my speech. Like I still don't cook very well. So like to expect someone to like fill those gaps because I suck at those things is like pretty unreasonable to a degree.
Yeah. See, my only qualification that I was looking for many years was they had to have a comparable mile time. So when we went jogging, we could keep up. Granted, the net's getting cast wider and wider because my mile times are going down and down and down. So I'm getting more realistic. So it gives me hope that, you know, I will find someone.
Oh, for sure. There was a girl I dated that she's like 4 years older than me, 3.5 years older than me. And like one of our first dates, I was like, so what are you looking for? And she named like 3 things. And it was like, nice guy, funny guy, like not an idiot. And I was like, has that list changed over the years? And she's like, it's gotten much smaller. So really, I think the takeaway from this whole conversation is get your expectations real low, lower them to the ground, and then you'll never be disappointed. Which is how I start all my relationships. Everyone goes in understanding, like I keep my expectation or their expectations of me extremely low. So then when I do the slightest thing positive, they're like, oh, good job, little buddy. Like you're trying. You did it.
Yep. John, one thing carrying through with the restaurant, what is your ideal first date?
God, I'm not wildly creative. I honestly think some of the best first dates I've been on have been like we just like picked up a pizza and then we like went to a park and like chilled out and like ate pizza and talked. Like that was, you know, enjoyed some scenery, chatted for a little bit, maybe grabbed a drink. Like there's Island Park in Sarasota, like O'Leary's, you know, like you grab a pizza, take it to Island Park, sit on the ground, eat it, or sit on a bench, eat it, and then like then you can go to O'Leary's and grab a drink, and like if things are going well, continue on. But like I like first dates where I get to like actually interact with someone in a like pretty laid back environment. I'm not a big like let's do some wild activity. Craft a ideal first date for you.
Gosh, I actually have had one where it was great. We, you know, stopped for a beer. Got to start with a beer because, you know, again, I like to judge their personality on the type of beer that they get.
For sure.
And then, per usual, I expected that, you know, it's just the beer and then we go our separate ways and maybe we talk, maybe we don't. But then, he kept suggesting things. He's like, let's go get a pizza. Let's go shoot some darts, which I'm not good at darts, but of course I'll go shoot some darts. And it's like just keeping the ball rolling in that
Sure.
way, like just casual but fun little experiences. That was my ideal first date. So,
I'm gonna have to amend my answer because now that you've reminded me, there was this girl, and God, there were so many things right about it, and a few terribly wrong things. But like our first, or well, I'll say our first like real date, like on our own, because like we went and hung out with some friends the first time around. But like first date on our own, we went to there's a museum in St. Pete, like I think it's Museum of Fine Arts or something. I don't remember. But there was a Star Wars exhibit, and oh my God, I was so excited the entire time. And she's a big Star Wars fan too, so like we went on this date, and we were just geeking out the entire time. And then afterward, we grabbed a beer, grabbed some food, and then like we grabbed ice cream, and it just like kind of kept going.
yeah.
Yeah, and like we just went from location to location in like this little area of St. Pete, and it was great. Like, and it just kind of flowed,
Yeah.
And it was like there was really no set time frame that we had. It was just like, hey, we're gonna like meet up, grab some lunch, hit this museum, and then see where it goes. And it just went so well at the museum that we just like kept on hanging out. So I would say best date ever. And it was very sad when I was like, oh, this has to end. Which could lead into another oh no. We were talking about weddings, and she's like, I don't like weddings. I don't want a big wedding. And she's like, I think they're a big waste of money, and anyone's stupid that has a wedding. I'm like, okay. I was like, that's fine. That's and because we're like a week, 2 weeks in, right? I'm not like actually thinking about marrying this girl.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, okay. And all I said was, I was like, I personally would really like a wedding. I think that would be nice. Like, I enjoy weddings. That's all I said. And she's like, no, I don't like weddings. You're not going to convince me otherwise. And I was like, I'm not trying to. Like, again, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
But that, even someone that didn't want a wedding wouldn't be a deal breaker for me. The deal breaker was like, and I ended up like, we were Facebook friends, and I saw an interchange, like an exchange about like a superhero movie, and they were like debating ideas in the superhero movie. And she was like, this is what's going on. This guy's like, oh, actually, I think it was this. And she's like, no, it was this, and you're not going to convince me otherwise. And I was like, oh no, this is a thing. And that's when I was like, oh, that's not going to work. Like,
yeah. Gosh, but at least you had a good experience with her, and you didn't get caught up on the fact that, you had such a good time, and those, it wasn't going to work out. Like, you didn't just settle and be like, this seems like it's good.
To be fair, I let it go on for another week or so. And then once we started talking about like the political things, it got very abrasive. And I was like, all right, well.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think that probably, and one of the things I wrote down was like, you can't change anybody. Like, there's nothing that you can do to change anyone or their opinions or really anything which like flew in the face of what I always had thought as a coach. Like, I was like, I can change people. Like, I can change people for the better. And like, they can be better athletes, or they can be better people, or they can, whatever. Right. And like, I just realized I was kind of like a facilitator of a process in coaching. I wasn't the actual catalyst or the driver. It was just like, I created an environment where they can make a positive change. But then there were plenty of people that didn't make a positive change, which fine. But yeah, I think in a relationship, there's no way, like, if you're trying to change them or you think you can change them, it's just not going to happen. Like, it's not going to work.
One do that I have is that when you realize, it's not going to work, you should have that conversation about like, this isn't really going anywhere. We should not continue this. I think I'm still technically dating at least 3 people because I never officially broke it off. It's not like I ghosted them, but it was kind of like, in have you watched Parks and Rec?
Of
When
course.
when Chris Traeger breaks up with Anne, but he's so nice that she doesn't realize it. I'm not
Yeah.
saying I'm so nice that they don't realize it. I'm saying that I don't even really acknowledge it that much. Like, to me, I know that I've broken up with them. I'm like, yeah, this is done.
Right.
But it's like, sorry to that freshman boy that when we were in high school, he continued carrying my books for me for at least another week. And I was like, dude, you don't have to do this. This isn't anything.
Read the room.
So yeah, if anybody is watching this and you might still think we're dating, we're not.
Sorry you had to find out this way, but we're not dating.
Yes, yeah. So definitely make sure you're clear when you're ending things. That's my only deal.
Yeah, so I think that we got a lot out there. At least you know some of the things to not do, but some things to do as well. From again the Titanic ship engineers, like we know some things. Don't steer into those icebergs. We've been there. Doesn't work out. All right.
Well, John, have a great day.
Monica, you too.
Always a pleasure.
All right.